everyone. I'm Miss Sarah,
And I'm Miss Sam.
and we're with the Wetlands Discovery Center here in Houma, Louisiana. And we have a really fun coastal classroom lesson for you today. And this one is called Restoring the Reef. And so Miss Sam is going to tell us a little bit more about what we'll be talking about today.
So, our goal with this lesson is that you are able to walk away knowing how important oysters are to the Louisiana coast, and that we also are able to talk to you about the different ways that we are trying to protect and restore our oyster reefs along the coast. So, let's go check it out.
So now let's talk about oysters. So the type of oyster we have here in South Louisiana is the eastern oyster. And oysters have a very wide range of temperatures and salinities that they are adapted to. But here in South Louisiana, along our coast, we have the perfect environment for oysters. And so oysters actually form oyster reefs. And you may or may not have seen an oyster reef or a picture of one before, but I have shrunk myself down to be the size of an oyster. So as you can see behind me, these oysters can get up to 12 inches. Now, that's not very big when we think about it, but if you ever see an oyster that's 12 inches long, that's a really big oyster, like the ones behind me. And so, oysters form oyster reefs. And basically, when baby oysters or spat swim, they are going to settle down on one surface and they will live on that surface for the rest of their life. And this is how oyster reefs form. So basically, each spat will settle and then become an adult and build that reef. And so we have a lot of oyster reefs down on our coast and in our marshes. And these oyster reefs actually form most of the hard substrates that are in our marshes because the rest is really soft. We have really soft soil and really soft plants in our marshes. So this hard surface is very important for many reasons. So oyster reefs do not only provide a home for oysters, they provide a home for a lot of other organisms. So a lot of organisms in the water actually use this as a habitat. They actually have some use in coastal restoration, which we're going to talk about later. But the irregular shape of oyster reefs, because they're not a very uniform shape, actually provide what's called microhabitats. So tiny habitats where only a few types of organisms can live. So oyster reefs are important for so many reasons. And now let's go to Miss Sam to talk about some problems that our oysters are facing. So let's go see Miss Sam.
So, like Miss Sarah was just talking about, oysters are some really cool species that live along the Louisiana coast. Now, these are great and very important to Louisiana for many different things. One, because as you were hearing, they create oyster reefs. Two, people in Louisiana and other areas love to eat oysters. So, these populations are experiencing trouble though. Now, these oyster populations have dramatically declined over the past 20 years due to many different problems. And some of these include overharvesting, which means that at one point we were collecting too many oysters without regulations or without strict enough regulations, and we were damaging the oyster reefs. Two, disease. Disease can be one of them. Okay, that is something that can affect many different species and can affect species numbers or their population. Then we also have storms, salinity. If the salinity dramatically decreases or increases, that can affect the reefs and the populations. And then even recreational boating. So things like storms and recreational boating can knock off clumps of oyster reefs. And remember, if those clumps of oysters are knocked off into the sand, that will essentially kill the oysters because remember, they need to be able to take water in and out to be able to survive. They're filter feeders. So when you bury it in the sand, the oyster is no longer able to do that. Now we're going to jump into our activity. So you will need the supply list off of the website. So that's going to tell you need a pan like I have here. You do want raised sides, otherwise you will be chasing beans around your work area. You do need some type of dry bean. So the supply list says that you need a white dry bean. You can use any color size you want. You need salad tongs, a spoon, and a jar. So this is going to serve as our working area. Use your beans and make a reef in the middle of your pan. So when you do this, you are basically pouring a big pile. Okay, we can't really create much of a reef with our beans, but we can create a tight little pile. You see that I don't have a lot of beans all spread out because remember your oysters are kind of stacking all over each other. So we pull it in, make sure our reef is looking pretty good. You're done with the beans, set them aside. This is going to serve as your boat, or basically where you are collecting the oysters that you are harvesting. And then keep in mind, as time goes by, fishing equipment and techniques will improve. So this is going to be our old fishing equipment. This is going to be our new. So we're going to do 2 seasons with each because you don't fish or harvest these all year long. You are only going to do it during the certain seasons. So Miss Sarah is going to help me with this because she is going to go ahead and tell me when my season starts by telling go and when it ends by saying stop. So we're about to start with 2. So go ahead, get your salad tongs. We're going to start with our old technology first. And if you have salad tongs like mine, you notice you may have a complication. So keep in mind, this is the old equipment you may have to figure out how to work with. Okay, Miss Sarah, I'm ready when you are.
Ready, go. Stop.
Okay, I didn't pick those up. Those don't count. Okay, season 1. I did okay. I've got some oysters. But you see, I've knocked a few loose, so I am damaging my reef. So let's try it again. So you still need your salad tongs again, and we'll go ahead and start fishing season 2 with our old equipment. So ready when you are, Miss Sarah.
Ready, go. Stop.
Okay, didn't pick anything up? Close your tongs, set them to the side. Again, we did okay. But if you notice, I have beans that have been knocked loose from my oyster reef. These are oysters that have fallen down into the sand and will not survive. So you can take those and push them to the corner of your pan because those are not going to be oysters that you can catch this next season. So time has gone by. Your equipment has improved from your salad tongs to your plastic spoon. So now I'm going to move my jar over here so you can see a little better. And I am ready when you are, Miss Sarah.
Ready, go. Stop.
Okay, I did pretty well, right? I'm starting to fill up my cup. There's less on the reef. So we're going to do one more fishing season with our improved technology. And let's see what happens. So ready when you are, Miss Sarah.
Ready, go. Stop.
Okay, didn't pick up any oysters, so set it to the side. Now, I've got a pretty good catch. Okay, remember, I only had maybe like 7 beans from the first 2 seasons with my old technology. But I've been able to get a lot with my improved technology, which is what we would expect. But if we look at our reef, so some of these harvesting techniques can be damaging to the reef. As we learn more, we work for techniques that are less damaging because we, of course, want to keep the reef intact. But if you look here, my reef's looking kind of sad. I've taken a lot of the oysters out, which means I've also taken a lot of the hard substrate out. So remember, that just means something hard for that oyster larvae to set on. Remember, those are going to be traveling through the water, like Miss Sarah said earlier, and they're going to need something hard to attach to then grow. If I have knocked these, like I moved my little corner over here, these are all ones I knocked into the sand. A little oyster going through the water cannot set on these. They've been buried by the sand of the sandy bottom. Some of these that have been knocked over to the side are going to do the same. But I have now decreased the amount of hard substrate for that oyster larvae to set on. And remember, this most of the time is not going back into the water where it's needed. So all these oyster shells that also served as hard substrate here have now been taken completely off of that reef. So, of course, when we noticed this, we saw that this was very problematic, and we definitely want to save our oyster reefs because we want to make sure that we still have oysters to harvest in the future And these are also very important when it comes to things like coastal protection and restoration. So let's jump to Miss Sarah to see what is being done to help protect and restore our oyster reefs.
So that was a really cool activity we just did, and it lets us to talk about something called artificial oyster reefs. So these are man-made oyster reefs that are helping to restore those reefs that have been damaged by things like fishing and other problems. And so, artificial reefs can be made in two different ways. So they you can actually plant material. So you basically place the material on the reefs, so it has to already have some type of hard surface, or you can use an engineered reef. And these reefs, they actually basically produce a new reef to go and to put out into the water to hopefully attract new oysters, but also maybe have some coastal restoration benefits. So these engineered reefs, there are a few different types. So let's talk about some of the types. So behind me, you can see in the top picture, this is called an oyster mat or a Gambian mat. So these are filled with either some type of hard substrate. So there's things like limestone, concrete, or mulch, or they can be filled with actual oyster shells. There's also on the bottom what we call reef blocks. So these are a really cool structure, as you can see behind me, and these are filled with oyster reefs, and they have that really weird shape, and those actually help to work as artificial oyster reefs as well. Another type is called Ajax. So you might want to go look up what those are. Those look really cool too. So keep those in mind. So we have Gambia mats, we have reef blocks, and we have Ajax. So remember those. So scientists have also done a lot of work to figure out what's the best type of artificial reef, and it really depends on an area. But it's looking like these engineered reefs are much better than the planted reefs. And so a lot of science is still needing to be done on these reefs, like what type of water can they go in? What place on the coast is best for what type? And so these artificial reefs are going to help to bring back oyster populations and rebuild those once natural oyster reefs. But now Miss Sam is going to talk to us about how these artificial reefs have another role, and that's in coastal restoration. So let's go talk about that with Miss Sam.
So, like Miss Sarah was just talking about, there's several different ways that they are trying to protect and restore these oyster reefs and several different structures they're using to try and build these reefs back up. Now, these are not just important in terms of trying to restore the oyster population. That, of course, is extremely important to us. But these can also be used as shoreline protection. So, remember in other videos, we've talked about these projects called shoreline protection, which is exactly as it sounds. It is a project that is somehow going to protect a shoreline. So oyster reefs are great at this. So one thing that is really cool about oyster reefs is they can actually keep up with things like sea level rise and subsidence. So some of the projects that we go out and that we do, we have to go back and as sea level rises or subsidence is occurring so the project begins to sink, we have to do certain repairs to these projects. Our oyster reefs, if they're successful, they can actually keep up with both. So that is something that's really cool to know. But they are used in several different areas along the coast, including Rockefeller Wildlife Refuge. So they're included in the coastal master plan that we've mentioned in the past. And that just means that they are a part of the statewide effort to protect and restore the coast. So, over at Rockefeller Wildlife Refuge, as you probably heard us say before, they are suffering very high rates of shoreline erosion. Okay, so they're losing a lot of shoreline each year. Becomes extremely problematic, as you would guess. But one of the projects that they're thinking about to help protect this shoreline is to install these shoreline protection projects, or like you see in this picture, it's actually an oyster reef. So, doesn't look anything like the other pictures of oyster reefs that we've shown you, because this is one of the new strategies they're trying. So, just like Miss Sarah said earlier, there's several different structures they use for an artificial reef. This is one of them. So, these are big concrete rings that's providing hard substrate for the oyster spat or the oyster larvae to set on and then to grow. So the hope is that in the future, as the oysters are able to set and grow on the structure, it's able to create an actual oyster reef. Now, it is also helping block some of that wave energy from hitting the shoreline. So it's keeping some of the sand and everything from the shore from washing away. So this project has many different bonus points to it, has many different good things that are happening with it. But one of the things that we're hoping to see into the future, of course, is it protecting the shoreline, but it's also that we're able to see more oysters on it. So each year we want to see more and more oysters as it hopefully will become a successful oyster reef. Now, like I said, this is happening all over the coastline, and this is something we are so excited that you were able to join us for today because these are something we really want you to know about. It's something you've probably heard about oysters all the time, but you don't always hear about how important that they are. So we hope you've had a lot of fun with this coastal classroom lesson, Restoring the Reef, and we hope that as you walk away from this lesson, you remember how important oysters are to the Louisiana coast and the efforts that we're doing to try and protect and restore these oyster reefs. So check us out for another video. We would like to thank you for joining us for our 7th grade Restoring the Reef coastal classroom lesson. And we hope that you remember our hope for the coast for this lesson. And that is that artificial oyster reefs are constructed to create habitat and act as natural buffers against erosion along the coast. We hope you join us for another lesson.